is very familiar.
Who are you? What have you done?
You ask as if I were a ruffian, a wanderer with no place in this palace. Know that I am a son to King Shahraman, and brother of Prince Malik, who rules here in our father's name. I did not come here seeking a mythical army. I was sent to study alongside my brother, that someday I might be as great a leader as he is. This territory was once the heart of King Solomon's mighty empire. According to legend, it holds a secret we are sworn to protect. Perhaps that secret is the reason the fortress is much sought after by neighboring kingdoms. Malik was sent here so the army would have a strong commander, to discourage attacks. But even Malik's famed strength could not discourage everyone.
Oh boy, do we have another Prince of Persia game to experience? You bet your sweet ass we do. But this one is truly new for me, since, kind of related to the title, I forgot that Forgotten Sands even existed. And holy crap, dude, this is one weird game. On one hand, it enhances the parkour and looks kinda great. On the other, it reduces the combat to sort of like Dynasty Warriors version and removes the satisfying search for life upgrades. It's a game that I think more of you should play. But also, I kinda understand why no one really remembers this one. Alright, enough lubing you up. Let's forget those sands, baby. Well, we should probably start with the story, and this time it's surprisingly small-scaled. Now, don't get me wrong, the stakes are technically huge. The world is on the verge of destruction, ancient forces are unleashed, and everything is on fire. Metaphorically and sometimes literally.
Your leadership, you don't even know what you're releasing.
As many warriors as the grains of desert sand.
It's glowing. Don't touch it.
It is only sand.
What is... Get it off me!
despite all that, the narrative feels weirdly isolated and stripped down. The prince doesn't have any real companion this time around. Sure, there are a few cutscenes with the djinn who pops in now and then.
Where is here exactly? And who are you? And what do you know of King Solomon's army?
We are Razia, Queen of the Marid, Guardian of the Waters, and ally to King Solomon himself.
But for most parts, it's just you, alone, chasing after your brother. And even that setup gets kind of repetitive fast. Most of the story can be summed as, you almost catch your brother, but whoops, something goes wrong, and you're sent on another detour. Rinse and repeat. The overall plot is also kind of basic. There's a war, your brother unleashes the Sand Army, turns out he can't control it, whoopsie. Now you've got to find and reunite with him to stop the mess he made. Cue several hours of running around ancient ruins, a demon shows up. Oh, okay. And of course, your brother ends up possessed. Or becomes the demon. It's not, like, super clear, I guess.
You must fight it! Don't let it control you!
And then, you gotta go and kill him. That's it. That's the end. There's not even, like, a cutscene. It's like, my brother, you're dying. Ah, yes, my brother, you're actually a really cool dude. Bah! And that's it.
I could feel it taking over my body, but I could not stop it. I was a prisoner.
Malik, I'm sorry, I didn't...
I am the one who should be sorry. I did not listen to you, and you were right. You saved us.
I'll get help.
No, it's too late for me. But tell our father, I said, you will be as mighty a leader as King Solomon himself.
Malik! Okay.
To be fair, the opening sequence is pretty epic and really sets the tone. There's a grand scale to it all, armies clashing, and a nice cinematic flair. Ending, while kind of confusing in terms of what actually happened, at least delivers some flashiness and spectacle. But the middle part is just kind of there. Oh, and please, for the love of all that is sacred, do not make the skip cutscenes button the left mouse button. Because guess what happens when you're mid-fight, hacking away the final boss, and a cinematic triggers? Yep, you accidentally press attack and skip the cutscene. Just like that. God. What? I literally had to go and reload the checkpoint because, like, why? What the hell? I've ranted about unskippable cutscenes before, but this might be the first time I'm complaining about cutscenes that are, like, too easy to skip. Story-wise, it all just feels thin. Characters react to things, but there's not much emotional depth or narrative weight. The prince does go through a sort of arc. He comes to terms with the fact that he might have to kill his own brother, which could be seen as planting the seeds for the darker, more brooding version of the prince in Warrior Within. But even that growth doesn't feel particularly earned or fleshed out. It's more like stuff just keeps happening around the prince, and he's stuck trying to basically catch up. And the story feels oddly self-contained, like no other game in the series refers to the prince's brother or this massive apocalyptic event. There's no ripple effect, no consequences beyond this game runtime. Also, this time the sand feels kind of different from the other games. We kind of just destroy the big bad and then the sands go away. Okay. It has the vibe of a Naruto filler episode. Big action, some emotional drama, but in the end, nothing really changes. As for the prince himself, he still got his signature roguish charm. He cracks jokes, pulls off ridiculous stunts, and maintains that cool but slightly arrogant attitude. He also feels a little more mature than in Sands of Time. You get glimpses of that growth, but the story doesn't give you many real moments to understand who he is now. There's honestly not a lot of dialogue or interaction to deepen the prince's character. Even conversations with the Jinn just kind of focuses on stopping the brother and what you need to do instead of, actually giving some character. He still feels like the prince we know. So sure, there's technically some character development and maybe even a rough arc, but it never really lands. The prince reacts more than he acts, and most of the game is spent running towards the plot rather than living inside it, if you know what I mean. The music and soundscape, once again, doesn't disappoint. There are some really solid background tracks throughout the game. This one... This one... And yeah, this one. They're not necessarily mind-blowing or instantly iconic, but they fit the atmosphere well. Whether you're scaling ancient ruins or sneaking through dimly lit dungeons, genuinely elevate the mood. The soundtrack seems to know when to stay in the background and when to kick in for dramatic effect. The ambient sound design is also nicely done. You've got the sound of running water, battles raging on, some birds chirping, maybe, I don't remember. All the little details that help the world feel more alive. The sound effects during traversal and exploration do a great job of filling the quieter moments, even if nothing particularly stood out as exceptional or groundbreaking. Still, it's one of those cases where the audio does exactly what it is supposed to do, immerse you without drawing too much attention to itself. Now, one part I really want to highlight is the voice acting, especially the prince. Man, I absolutely love his delivery. The voice actor just nails the perfect balance.
Malik! Is this how you welcome family?
Oh!
You've picked a bad time for a visit. I would have said you've picked a bad time for a war.
It's supposed to predict the future through the movement of the stars.
No, I didn't touch it. It must have been the Sand Army.
He got the smug, self-confident tone, like he knows he's cool, and is constantly amused by his own antics. But he never crosses the line into being, annoying. He stays just weird and cocky enough to be memorable and entertaining, not grating. Although I wish the story would give more moments for him to express his character, Oh, and here's a super cool detail. Once the Jinn becomes your sword, yes, the actual mystical entity becomes your weapon, which is kinda cool, she starts making the sound effects herself. Seriously, listen to this. It's weird in the best way possible. Instead of generic sword slashes and whooshes, these vocalized effects do add more, I don't know, uniqueness. And since she talks to you, I'm kind of wondering why we didn't get it from the start as a companion that would talk with us, and not just in a few moments. Like, it's a small touch, but it goes a long way in showing that, that the game has creativity and interesting ideas, even if they're not developed to 100% of their potential. I mean, I don't know a lot of other games where a person would make sword sounds, Honestly, it just makes me wish the combat had been more refined. So yeah, the music and sound design are great. Maybe not legendary, but definitely a strong part of the overall experience. And in some moments, like with a talking sword, they even go above.
I've never seen a storm like this.
I have. Once.
Let's hope we can make it the last of its kind.
So yeah, let's talk about the combat. Well, how do I say it? It's just not very good. My main issue, the one that genuinely makes me want to tear my hairs out, is the complete lack of any defensive mechanics. There's no blocking, no parrying, so forget about any counter system. What you're left with is this awkward loop of wildly swinging your sword and dodging sometimes. Now, sure, that might sound like it could work. Maybe something in the vein of Souls-like game system. But in practice, it's just chaotic mess. You're up against some relatively cool-looking enemies, but you don't actually fight them in a meaningful way. You just mow through them and move on. Should you try a tactical approach, like in Warrior Within or even in Sands of Time? Nope, there's really no incentive. Like, aside from occasionally using your heavy attack to break a shield or knock someone down faster, there's just nothing interesting to do here. The best thing you can do, the best defensive, is just to be aggressive, just constantly attacking. Instead of fleshing out the combat with satisfying mechanics, they threw in a handful of RPG light skills you can level up. Honestly, apart from the one that gives you extra armor, I ignored all of them. It just doesn't feel like Prince of Persia to me. Great, it's raining. Fuck it. Gah! Are you kidding me? Leveling up elemental powers in the middle of a sword fight? That's not what the series is about. For me, Prince of Persia is all about clever traversal, smart use of the environment, and overcoming obstacles with, agility. Not really unlocking a fire spell like it's Skyrim. So I can't even tell you if these skills are fun, because the combat was such a drag that I didn't really care to experiment. And I just ended up leveling up other things. Okay, after experiencing, let's say, interesting camera in Sands of Time, I have to say that apart from a few small moments, I had no issues with this camera. It feels like they managed to find this great middle point between forced perspective and free cam. But, do you keep in mind that the combat here is very easy compared to Sands of Time or Warrior Within, so there aren't that many places to be extra mad at the camera for doing something quote-unquote bad, if you get what I'm saying. Oh, this is the weirdest thing, okay? Dude, you want to see the funniest shit ever? Check this out. If you get knocked down, the prince just lies there on the ground. Like, just not doing anything. I'm getting pummeled, I'm getting attacked, and I can't do anything. I think it pressed every single fucking button. Like, okay, maybe it's a timing thing, a recovery mechanic. Nope, I couldn't get it to, like, work. And since there's no blocking, you can't, like, tactically recover from this, like, knockdown. Was I missing something? Should I be pressing a certain button multiple times to get up faster? Maybe, but for some weird fucking reason, my tutorial was off by default. I'm sorry, what? Why even have a tutorial if players have to know it exists and manually turn it on? That's insane. It led to some truly fucking frustrating moment where I was like, what do I need to do? Like, I see that I need to do something here, but the game just doesn't fucking tell me. God damn. So early on, you fight a bunch of decent looking skeletons and expect things to, you know, kinda ramp up. If not mechanically, then at least visually. But no, not really. Outside of a few larger enemies, there isn't much variety. And since there's no real tactical weight to the combat, you're kind of stuck fighting the same type of enemies in the same type of way. Well, not really in the same type of way, because the weirdest part is, near the end of the game, you get the upgraded sword, and it just completely shreds bosses in like 1 or 2 hits. At first, it feels cool, you know, like a little power fantasy. Hey, I'm slicing through dudes who used to give me trouble. But it also highlights how trivial the combat really is. If all it takes to win is just to swing wildly, then what's the point? There's seemingly very little strategy and very little depth. Just dodge a bit and attack until the screen is clear. Just hit, 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 hit. The best way I can describe it is this. It feels like you're trying to fight in Warrior Within system while also being in Sands of Time parkour mode. Even jumping over enemies, which was my favorite thing to do, feels oddly janky. Like the prince might just launch himself sideways for no reason, or the animation takes kinda too long, or doesn't do anything. The overall animations are kinda floaty, and half the time the combat feels more glitchy than natural flowing. Oh, and there are finishers. Like, technically. They look flashy, sure, but they're kind of very poorly integrated. You don't really earn them, you just kind of stumble into them, and since most enemies go down in 1 or 2 hits anyway, watching a drawn out finishing move on a guy who would have been dead in like a hit just kind of feels pointless. Like if enemies would feel like in Warrior Within, then having a finisher would feel good, you know, earned. But now it's kind of cool animation with, I think, wasted potential. Overall, the combat isn't horrible. It has its moments, mostly thanks to the animation and effects. But it feels half-baked. Most of the time, I just found myself wishing I could skip the fights and get back to the platforming. Which, in a Prince of Persia game, especially one that comes after Warrior Within, is kind of a shame. The skill tree, in my opinion, it's just a bad design choice. I get the idea behind it, killing enemies, exploring a bit, gathering resources, and then spending those to unlock new powers and upgrades. On paper, sure, it sounds like a decent way to add some player agency. But in practice, it kind of undercuts one of the best things about Prince of Persia, the joy of exploration. See, in older games, you were rewarded for venturing off the main path. You'd find hidden health upgrades, new time powers, or challenging platforming segments that gave you something tangible for your effort. That sense of "I earned this" was deeply satisfying, at least for me. But here, you just gather currency and click a button. Boom, more health, stronger attacks. It feels kind of flat, detached from the overall story and world. Like, how am I getting like these powers? Like fire? What? Am I a wizard? What? There's no excitement in pressing a menu button and suddenly having more health. While in Warrior Within, that health upgrade actually felt truly earned, here it just feels granted. And the thing is, it didn't have to be this way. You could have still had a light skill system, but kept the core upgrades, like health and time powers, maybe even strength upgrades, locked behind exploration or environmental challenges, and leave all the magical things for, well, this skill system. That would feel way more Prince of Persia. Let me choose elemental attacks or bonus effects from a menu if you want, but the core character progression should be tied into the world, not divorced from it by a menu screen. What makes this worse is that the skill tree is clearly designed so you can't unlock everything in one playthrough. It nudges you towards New Game Plus. And while that's fine in theory, sure, having a fully powered up prince might be flashy and fun, it really doesn't add much when the core combat is already so bland. There's no difficulty settings either, so there's no extra challenge waiting for you on your second run. It's just going to be easier. I guess for some people that's fine. Maybe you want to breeze through the fights with all the powers unlocked and feel like, sand-slinging demigod, which you actually don't feel, it's But for me, it just doesn't click. The system doesn't go deep enough to be like truly engaging or interesting, or different builds you can mess around with or something. But it's also not something you can like totally ignore, because some of these powers really do give you like a noticeable advantage. Ultimately, every skill in that tree could have been repurposed into the game world. So how does the game look? Well, it's a bit of a mixed bag. On one hand, there are moments where the visuals genuinely shine. Certain levels are packed with details, with dynamic backgrounds, sprawling vistas, and big cinematic sequences that add a real sense of grandeur to the experience. You'll find yourself running along walls with epic battles or magical storms unfolding in the distance, and those moments really land. There's this impressive scale in some sections that no other Prince of Persia game has quite pulled off before. Well, that I played in the series, that is. It makes the world feel alive and much bigger than the narrow corridors you're actually moving through. But then, there are other areas where the game falls kind of flat. Some environments just feel bland. Not ugly, mind you. Nothing here is offensively bad, especially not when compared to the murky low-poly chaos in Prince of Persia 3D. But certain levels just lack character. You get big open spaces that sometimes can feel empty or under-designed, like filler zones meant to pad out the runtime rather than immerse you into the world. There's a noticeable inconsistency where the game switches between "wow, this is stunning" and you could have added a bit more effort to this. One thing I really appreciate though is how much effort went into background details in some sections. You'll be platforming across rooftops while distant cities crumble, or explore these abandoned ruins with paintings and murals. These flourishes do give a game a sense of epic scale and momentum. It actually feels like the world is about to end, which is not an easy thing to pull off visually. Overall, there's a cinematic vibe that elevates even some of the simpler levels. But here's the thing I couldn't quite get on board with: the prince himself. His design is weird. At first glance, it's clearly modeled after the Warrior Within version. Same build, same outfit style, but there's something off about it. It's like someone took that design and tried to make him a little too cool. His face has this almost Giga Chad expression. I don't know. His face just felt bulky. Yeah, it's subtle, but enough to make him feel a bit uncanny for me. That moment when you see a stunt double with the real star? It's kind of like this. It's the stunt prince. That said, I do appreciate the game's overall aesthetic. It's surprisingly bright and colorful for a Prince of Persia game, more vibrant than Warrior Within for sure. And that helps give it its own identity. It walks the line between serious and playful, with glowing temples, sandy ruins, and magical effects that make things pop. The visual direction mostly works, even if a few design choices fall flat. So yeah, overall, the game looks good, sometimes really good. It just doesn't always maintain that level, and the character design of the prince himself might throw some fans off. But I think when the game leans into the cinematic strength and environmental scale, it absolutely delivers. Let's end on a high note. The parkour is amazing in this game. First, the whole parkour feels faster, especially moving on walls. Also, you get a more lenient wall running, being able to trigger it even from a jump position. You also get to learn a few new things for the prince, running up the wall from a ledge or even a jump position. Now, is it realistic to jump towards a wall and then somehow have a magical platform to push yourself up and run up that wall? No, not really, but it does add a new verticality. And when combining this with all other improvements, man, the parkour is butter smooth. Add good traps that require you to learn timing, and oh boy, it's very fun. But the cherry on top of the cake is the extra powers. At the start, you get to stop water, so you need to manage to do the parkour before this water stopping power runs out. Simple. Then you get switching currents, meaning you need to release the power mid-jump so the next water source starts. Then you trigger the power again and rinse and repeat. Cool, adds way more to the whole parkour. But then you get more powers to teleport towards enemies. And this way, you have another power to add to the parkouring puzzle. And even then, you get the ability to restore one part of the map, meaning that just like water, you need to trigger the next one while moving or jumping. You see where this is going, right? Yep, by the very end, you need to run along a wall, stop the water, grab a water pillar, release the power to jump through a water wall, then trigger a teleportation to an enemy or restore a platform, then jump from that platform while in air restoring another platform, and just it's cool. It's really fun. I wouldn't say that it ever becomes really difficult, but it gives the right amount of challenge and timing to platforming. I might go as far as to say that up to this game, this might be my favorite parkouring system, and it honestly makes the whole game worth a playthrough just to experience all this madness. Hey, thanks for watching this video all the way through. As you might have guessed by now, I really like parts of this game, especially how complex they made the parkour system. But also, the combat and the level up system just feels meh. I had fun while playing it, and it doesn't overstay its welcome. Don't get me wrong, the Giga Chad looking prince does add to the vibe, weirdly enough. But I kind of understand why this game went overlooked by most. I bought it for like €2, so if you ever get the deal, I highly recommend you give it a shot, mainly to experience some good platforming. Now, if I have to place it into my draft ranking, I would go below Sands of Time, but not by that much to be fair. It's way better game than the classical trilogy. Sadly, it's far from the greatness of Warrior Within. Now, in the next video, I'll cover the Two Thrones, an ambitious, even if not 100% successful ending to the modern Prince of Persia trilogy. And after that, into the new weird roguelike games, the 2008 Prince, and even some mobile ports. It will be interesting, so why not stick around and subscribe? Anyway, thanks for watching this nonsense, and I'll see you next time.